It says it's going.
All right, we are live.
I think we're live. Hey, everyone.
Welcome everyone to our number. I don't even.
We don't even know.
So many. I think it's like at least 7.
At least 7 live show. 7th live show. And tonight we have one of the most coolest, epic guests on. We better just introduce him right now. Jamil, hello. Or should we call you Jam Jam? I don't know.
Hey guys, how's it going? Great to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jamil, I'm sure everyone knows and everyone is excited to hear from that, but he's coming back. He just finished the Hardrock 100, did amazing, so we can't wait to hear all about it.
Thanks guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so maybe, I hope everyone that is watching live watched Jamil's really cool video that he just put out not that long ago. So if not, though, I guess we're going to be talking a lot about Hardrock today and how your experience went. Maybe we could start by just like kind of, I don't know, like talking about whatever you wanted to talk about during it. Like how did it go for you and like the race itself. I'm also really curious about the last part because your camera died, your GoPro died, it looks like, and like we saw nothing until the end. So
yeah,
maybe
because
we could talk about that.
from what we have seen, like you were like really positive, and then we don't even know if you were positive until the end.
Yeah, you look like you kind of hit like a little bit of a low, and like what happened? Did you come back out of that?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I had a really positive race experience. I think I ran pretty smart and ran really, what I think was really easy. If you saw the video, just kind of hiking along, casually, like eating aid station to aid station, just doing a lot of walking, and yeah, just had a really enjoyable time with everyone out there. I mean, definitely low points. In the night, I was getting really sleepy. I think you saw near the end, I was like drinking some coffee at one of the aid stations, and I kind of got progressively more nauseous as the race went on. And also my breathing was more of an issue, especially above 11 and 12,000 feet. Started to feel just more out of breath and I couldn't breathe as well. So I would take, near the end, I would take sometimes 10 steps and then it was like hands on my knees, just trying to breathe again for a minute and then I could continue on. So definitely some low points. But like there were some really high points too, like that did get recorded. Running down into Telluride, my brother passed me. I had passed him out of Ouray, and he just went blasting by me. And as the older brother, I'm like, didn't want that to happen, so I just chased him down, and he was out of my sights the whole descent down into town. But we passed en route 5 runners.
Wow.
And I thought I was in 10th place because that's what they had told me at Kroger's Canteen. I was really in 13th. So I was like, dang, we're really moving up. Like we're rallying. Like I was just going to ride this all the way to the finish line. We entered the aid station together. I caught back up with him, but that rally was short-lived and kind of came back to bite me a little bit later between miles like 80 and 95. So I suffered quite a bit.
Wow. So yeah, you must have been like pushing pretty hard, and with that elevation, it must have killed you. Before we go any further, I just realized Chuck in the chat room said like, are we taking questions? And I was so excited just to hear about your story. That I forgot to mention. Yeah, guys, we are definitely asking Jamil your questions. So post them in the live chat room, and Gwen's going to be keeping his eye there and then asking for you. So we'll get that out of the way. Cool.
Yeah. So, you said like you took it like really easy, the start of the race. I mean, most of the race, like, was this a strategy from what you learned the previous time you went to Hardrock?
It was mostly a strategy of recognizing where I was at in my training cycle. This whole year, I've averaged, if you go back and look at my Strava, between like 20 and 25 miles per week, with the exception of a few bigger weeks. I kind of started training for Barkley earlier in the year and had some setbacks. So I got a 60 or 80 mile weekend, then we go back down. Barkley was obviously one big effort. And then in the last 6 weeks, I did get a couple good weeks in right around Western States training camp. And then I did 45 miles 3 weeks before the race. while out at Western States. So I knew I had a little bit of fitness, but I knew that I wasn't anywhere where I was maybe hoping to be someday at Hardrock. So I just kind of went in it with the mentality of I want to have fun, maybe break 30 hours and finish strong. And I pretty much achieved all that. So I think having that mentality from the beginning was smart, and it's what I set out to do.
Wow.
Yeah. So talk to us like more about like your training, like before, like leading up, like.
That's crazy. Only like 30-mile weeks. Like that's. I mean,
I did have like 6 weeks out. I hit a stretch of. I did hit 100-mile week, and I had like maybe a couple 80-mile weeks in there.
Okay.
And then I did do a couple longer runs. One was a 12-hour run that was 35 miles with like 11,000 feet of climb. And then I did another one. The 45-mile day was at Western States while I was filming. So a couple longer runs that were good, but I also have like a big base of experience, which helped a lot. Like I've been running ultra marathons for almost 13 years. I've done like 80 of them. And so that does go a long way.
Yeah, I think that's really inspiring though. Like it's inspiring to know that after so many years of running, you still can have such high stoke for running, and that you don't need to beat yourself up doing it, and you can still compete because you do have such a solid base. So that's really inspiring.
It definitely comes in cycles for the motivation. Like I talked a lot earlier this year, I was struggling a lot with, and it's really honestly been the last 3 years where I've really struggled with getting out there. It's a lot of life stuff that's been going on behind the scenes. But that's kind of, I don't know, I just felt like a lot of that has kind of settled out in my life recently. And so I was also just happy out there. And I think you could see that in the video where I was just genuinely happy about life and like kind of the relationships in my life currently, like everything is settling out a little bit. And I think that's a big factor to me doing, better at this race than maybe some of my previous ones.
Yeah, I think the happiness factor is like totally underrated. And it is the number one thing that I noticed about the video was just your happiness, and it was contagious, and it just made me want to keep watching. I don't know, like I thought it was, we've seen a lot of your videos, but that one was like, I think it was because of the happiness. I was just hooked. Yeah. Like we wanted to just keep watching. I mean, you're like, holy shit, this is so
I'm
cool.
Sure your performance is, related to like that. I mean,
yeah, because like one of the craziest things to me was during that hailstorm, like it looked fucking horrible, Jamil. Like, okay, it was like, it looked like it, okay, so many people could have taken that in such a negative way, but you just spun it in the best way, and you just thought it was the coolest experience, and you were high on life, and it was like, I think it just made it so much better for you.
Yeah, and I mean, like I also, part of it too is I love Hardrock. I saw pictures of the 2006 race, and I'm like, I need to do that. And that stoke level, like it's not diminished really. I mean, I've done it now, which is awesome, but I love the San Juan Mountains. I love being way up high at altitude. And yeah, when there's crazy weather, like all you can do is embrace it. And it was so painful. I feel like the video didn't capture like quite how bad it was. It was really, really insane.
How long did it last? Like the hail? Because it did seem like it hurt. Like you could hear.
I probably have to check the timestamps of my original video files, but it felt like it was like 20 minutes or something, maybe more, of just constant. And yeah, it just made me laugh kind of because it was so insane, and you just like there's nowhere to hide up there. Like you can't get away from it. And then it was so cold, you had to keep moving to stay warm. So just embrace it and keep going. That was it.
Wow. So
then, like, what about like your gear? You were like totally soaked. Did you have to change?
I mean, I literally was like running shirtless, as you saw, with just my vest on. I put my rain jacket, which I had with me, on when it started hailing, but it was like so thin. I had like crazy welts all over my body that lasted for like an hour and a half. Then they kind of went away. But as soon as I hit the aid station down below at Sherman, like I took my jacket back off and just went shirtless again because I was so like pumped up. But I run really hot, really warm. So just that's how I don't know. I have a lot of like heat that goes off. So I was pretty warm. I did grab like a lighter weight jacket at Sherman. So I had 2 jackets heading up over handies, which I think I put both on it by the top, which it was good. I didn't have gloves with me though. That was the only thing I probably wish I had. So I just had to like tuck my hands into my sleeves.
Yeah, gloves are something that you don't really think about in the summer, right?
I started the race with gloves, but then it was so warm. I just gave them to my crew at the first aid station. But I did get them back for the night section once I hit Ouray.
Oh, okay, good. So were you the only one running shirtless, do you think? Or was there other?
The only one that I saw, I know someone said like, as I came into Grouse, mile 42, like you're the first shirtless runner to come in. So it was pretty cool, like to be able to run shirtless and just, it felt really freeing and really nice. So
yeah,
went with it.
Yeah, it seems like your style. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so what, like, I don't know, like how, talking about some of those hard times, like when it did get really tough and you were tired and you wanted to nap and it was cold, like what was it that kept you going, or like internally, you know, like in your head, what was that voice like?
I mean, one thing is before the race, I promised myself I wouldn't nap. And that was a big part of it because I'm infamous for napping during 100-mile races in the last few years. It's like kind of become my calling card. I want to get away from that because it doesn't really lead to great performances. So I was able to get some more sleep than normal, which helped, but I still, like, as we all do in hundreds, like when you go through the night, like you feel that fatigue that you normally feel when you get sleepy. So I kept just kind of using a bunch of caffeine, and I kind of kicked myself because I didn't take any caffeine at Ouray, like an energy drink, which is something that really boosts me up. So I kind of walked out of there without it. And unfortunately, I did have pacers this time. So that really also helped me to get through that low patch. Just kind of put my head down and follow the footsteps or have someone with me to keep me accountable. And then it was just whenever I get to an aid station, I was like, you know, you guys have some coffee. When I got to Kroger's at the top, they had like little cans of Red Bull. So I took a sip of that, and that kind of helped perk me up for a little bit. And then once you get to the next day and the sun comes back out, it's like a boost again. So that was, those were my lowest moments other than the breathing. And there wasn't a lot I could do about that. You know, when I was 87 miles in, I'm climbing back up to 13,000 feet again. And it's really steep. And my pacer, you could tell, is maybe a little like frustrated because I was going slower than expected. And he would be like a bit off in the front, and I would kind of be panting. And yeah, I mean, I didn't acclimate as long as I probably needed to for the effort level, or just didn't have enough training, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You still did great. So
yeah. No, I'm still really happy. But I lost, like, I was with my brother at mile 85, and he put, you know, an hour and 45 minutes on me in the last 15 miles. So
wow. Okay.
And that, if he was better trained than I was, I think he had been sleeping in an altitude tent. So I feel like the difference in that final 15 was just that training difference, really, because we both ran really strong races.
Yeah.
Yeah, who were your pacers, and how did you choose them, or did you talk to them on, like, you know, how to boost you in low moments, or?
Not really, and I haven't used pacers in the last few years because I've done more and more races that don't allow them, like the Barkley Marathon's not allowed to have a pacer. Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, all of those races, no pacers were allowed. Ronde del Sims in Andorra, like all these European races, they don't even have pacers. It's not, they don't even understand what it is. It probably seems like cheating to them. But so I just kind of, I don't know, I also didn't want to like have anyone else to worry about or to have any added conflict with. So I chose a couple friends of mine. One is Skylar Hall, who I used to live in Arizona. He's on the Mountain Outpost videos with me. So he did about a 15-mile stretch. and he's coming from the Bay Area, and he had never been that high up in elevation before. So it was really interesting, but really cool to have him along because we're really good buds. And then my friend Michael Versteeg, who I've done quite a few adventures with, I've paced him on his Arizona Trail fastest known time run that he did in October. So, and we're kind of, I feel like all of us, it's like you kind of don't need to say much to each other. Like they know what I need, and they both pushed me more than I normally would have gone, for sure. And I think they did a pretty good job of that while not annoying me too much and kind of still letting me go through my moments, like my low moments. So I think it was good overall.
Yeah, I think that's really special. Like when you have a running partner and you don't need to talk to them. There's something about that that's just like really special.
And there was sometimes not a lot of talking, but then sometimes we're sharing moments together, or I know Michael Versteeg at the end, with 6 miles to go, he kind of lit a little fire under me because I was kind of really a little dejected because I was going so slowly. And I like kind of didn't care anymore. I'm like, I just want to walk, kind of jog it in easy. And he's basically like, he actually came up to me and like in his hand, he's like, take these. And it was like a caffeine pill and an Advil. And I was like, no, I don't want any more caffeine and I'm not taking any painkillers. So, but he's like, you need to light a fire under yourself. Like you're in jeopardy of losing sub 30 hours and 10th place. I thought to myself that like, I don't care what place I get, like if I'm 10th or 11th. But it still lit a fire under me, and we basically ran really hard in the finish. And I know I wouldn't have done that. And I was actually kind of hating him for pushing me at the time, but thankful later on because I was really close to breaking 29 hours, which was a better time than I thought was even possible for me this year.
Yeah, you were just 2 minutes, right? 29 and 2 minutes. Wow.
And I caught the 9th place guy with less than a mile to go. So if we hadn't been pushing, we wouldn't have caught him.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really cool. Wow.
It's working. Okay. There is a good question. Going back to the, I guess we can talk about your nutrition plan. People are interested about that, and to know like, what food was your favorite at the aid station, because many people saw your video and the food looked amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like if people don't know, Gwen just ran his first 100-miler in France. And like you said, like no pacers, and the food in France, it's like so different. So going from that race, which was really well organized, to seeing Hardrock was pretty incredible. So yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, I think with like fewer number of runners and an older race that has such a great volunteer support, they can do more with the food. But yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like it seemed like almost every aid station had like perfectly ripe avocados, and I remember later on, like the 85-mile one, they didn't have much like vegan food really, but they ended up making saltine crackers with just like fresh avocado on it, and I ate like 6 of those. Yeah, some of the early ones, they had these vegan rice balls and vegan fried rice and stuff. Later on, actually, I didn't even look at the food options in Ouray or Telluride, just because I was like focused on kind of like moving up in the field. Like I wanted to keep going and keep passing people. And I had pre-made some mashed potato burritos, which has done well for me before at these races. It's something that's not sweet and it's easily digestible and gives you good energy. So it's like a real food. So it kind of breaks up the sugary gels and like blocks, which I also use.
Yeah.
So I would grab a burrito or 2 out of those aid stations and just keep moving. But then later on, I don't know, pickles are always great. So yeah, the food was really good here. They do a really good job.
So how much did you know they were going to have good food and vegan options? Did you plan that in, or did you plan like, okay, if it like is horrible, I'm still going to have my own food. Like I'll be fine.
I can usually always find something to eat at an aid station. As a race director myself, I kind of know what's out there. So I can always get something, or a lot of times I just like to see what I feel like at that time. It might be chips. It might be piece of fruit. It might just be Coca-Cola. I don't know. It just kind of go and see what looks good. But I also had a good amount of my own food for in between. I didn't take stuff from the aid stations and like carry it with me. That's why I packed, you know, gels and shot like goo, chomps, and things like that to kind of bridge the gap. I also used these little pinole cookies from Mas Karima called Karimalitas, and they were pretty good. It's like a more solid food that's corn based, so it's not as sweet, has a little more substance in it as well. Cool.
Yeah, it's nice to hear like some different stuff going on. Is there any other questions right now?
No, I mean, not many questions. Just people are saying like the video is amazing.
Yeah, so many people love the video, so did something right there.
Yeah, and like I didn't have a huge plan. I've done a lot of races where I've carried like a big stabilized camera, like the Hong Kong 100K. I ran the whole race with it, but I wanted to really kind of race this for myself this time and not have to be focused on filming like the scenery and all that stuff. So just carried like a tiny, literally, just GoPro.
Yeah.
Just put it in my pack, and then I remember just doing that first, like, oh, I'm 1 mile in, I might as well like say hi and show people what the trail looks like. And I was like, maybe I could just check in every mile. And that's kind of what I ended up doing, as you saw, through halfway at least. And, and it was kind of cool because it gives people like perspective of like not only what the trail looks like at each mile, but how are my spirits doing? How am I feeling? And that was interesting for me to see later too. I could tell going up Handies, I was a little more quiet and kind of just putting my head down. And I remember being tired there too. So it's fun to see the ups and downs.
Yeah, it's really fun to look back at your own footage. Like I think you can learn a lot from that too. Like you learn a lot from watching yourself, and then hopefully grow out of that experience too, and be like, wow, I was really like negative at that point. Like really, like it wasn't that bad. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool.
And I was really happy I had it with that hailstorm, because that was just so cool to capture that.
Yeah. yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like we heard about it, you know, everyone's talking about it too, but to see it.
Yeah, we could hear like the hail on the GoPro, like tick, tick, tick.
Yeah. So that was definitely cool that people got to see what that was like. So then after the race, like what is it like when you finish a race like Hardrock? Is there like a party, and are all the people there? Or are you like, just, I need to sleep? Because like 30 hours, that's a long 100-miler. So yeah, what do you do?
I mean, it's a long time, but I've definitely done longer. I mean, I've done 36 at this one, 37 at UTMB, 40 hours twice at Barkley, and 56 hours once at Barkley. It's still always 100 miles is so far, and it's so hard to wrap your mind around it. And whenever you finish, you just feel so relieved that it's over, because you've been dreaming about being done. I just remember I wanted to be crawled up like in my bed napping, and I was looking so much forward to that. And it's just you have to distract yourself from those thoughts, because you're 18 hours away from that moment, or still 11 hours away from that moment, or still 6 hours away from that moment. And but it kind of, looking back on it, it does go fairly quick overall, but it's also fairly painful, as I'm sure you know, having just completed a 100-miler as well. So yeah, afterwards, I actually didn't sleep right away, because just the euphoria of finishing, and everyone wants to talk to you. And I think I just sat, like I kissed the rock and stuff, and then just sat on the side of the gym on the sidewalk, and kind of a little circle of friends gathered around, and we were just, I don't even think I ate or drank anything for an hour. I just like sat there. And then finally I was feeling pretty weak, and I'm like, I should probably eat and drink something. But I did take a nap like a couple hours later. I slept for 5 or 6 hours, and then I did a fair amount of celebrating the next 2 nights. So we went out, there's like a rum bar in town, and a bunch of us went there and stayed out till like 2 in the morning. And then we had another party the next night and stayed out pretty late again. So that was fun to kind of let loose after, having to kind of go to bed earlier for the week before the race.
Yeah, and celebrate like the accomplishment.
Yeah.
So are you already planning on going back to Hardrock?
I'm always going to apply. That's not a question. Every year I apply, and I just run it when I get in.
Okay.
So I don't know. I like getting in. I also enjoy not getting in because it provides an open summer to do something new. And I've gotten to do some really cool things. Like last year, because I didn't get into Hardrock, I ran Ronda del Sims in Andorra, which was crazy. You know, 41-hour long race with 44,000 feet of climbing compared to Hardrock's 33. So it's like way tougher of an event.
I mean, we were looking at your ultra sign up, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I was like, wow, like I wonder what like that's impressive. That's just crazy. And what I'm really surprised, I mean, not surprised, but just like blown away is how many really big races, like not miles wise, but like time, like you said, all of these hours, like 40, 50 hours. That's just, yeah, that's next level. So I have a question real quick. I was crewing Gwen in his first 100-miler, and it seems like at a certain point, the pain sets in, right, everywhere in your body, and then you just have to deal with that pain as your new state for the rest of the race. So what is that like for you? Like what does that look like? Does the pain set in like really bad? Do you have ups and downs, or is it just like constant pain the rest of the race?
It's definitely ups and downs. It's not that it always sets in and it's just there and it gets worse or never gets better. I've had races where, like it gets super painful at mile 25 and you feel like you're at mile 80, and then it feels like that through mile 70, but then you just kind of, sometimes you just adapt to it and that's just how it is. Other times I've come back from the dead, you know, and felt no pain at mile 90 to the finish. And I'm running faster than I was at mile 10. Like kind of crazy stuff like that happens in 100-milers a lot of times.
Yeah, that blows my mind. And that's cool to hear. Yeah. That's good to know. Because Gwen was like...
For me, it was the same, like, you know, like the last mile, I wasn't feeling the pain. But it was just, I was so happy. And, but the pain, I guess, was still here. And it was my first 100-mile. And when I started to hurt around mile 15, I was pretty worried.
Yeah, because that's pretty early to start to hurt. So, yeah, dealing with that pain and then accepting it. But that's cool to hear that you can come out of it, and yeah, crazy stuff happens. You never know. Yeah.
So we saw that you have like all Salomon gear. Like, so what's going on with that?
Salomon supports me with gear, so shoes and packs and stuff like that. I don't have like a crazy deal with them, but they've been supporting me for the last couple of years with that kind of stuff, which is awesome.
Nice. Cool. And I had a question about your shoes during the race. Did you change them at all, or did you wear the same?
I wore the same pair the whole time. I did change my socks a few times, but yeah, same shoes and same pack the whole way.
Wow, that's cool. Because like your feet were wet like 90% of the time, right?
Yeah, they're really there's like stream crossings almost constantly. They might dry out for an hour here and there, but yeah, you're almost always going through stream crossings.
Wow.
So then, like, I'm just curious about like the reason behind like just not changing shoes. Like, does it doesn't make any difference, or?
I don't know. I had a backup pair of shoes that I could have changed into, but I think it just depends on. For me, I'm fortunate. I used to run in Mizuno Wave Musha. That's like the shoe that I used to love, and it felt great to me. It was comfortable. I could run as many miles as I want. I would rarely get injured. Training, racing, it didn't matter the terrain. Just the shoe worked for me. And so I wore the Salomon Sense Pro 2, and that shoe just works for me. So I just keep wearing it. Like I literally pulled that pair out of the box and like had never worn them, put them on my feet the morning of the race, ran the whole 100 miles in it. And yeah, I don't think I got a blister at all. So.
Wow, that's cool to know because we're actually thinking of trying out that shoe.
Yeah.
So, cool. Yeah. Well, so I unless other people have questions about the race, we can always come back. But I'm really interested, like, in how you started running when you were young and like how that looked, because you've been running for a really long time, but after like reading your bio and everything, it seems like it wasn't really like you were doing a lot of things as a kid, right? Like. So many things, other sports, and then like, how did running become like the centerpiece of your life?
Yeah, I played soccer as a kid. I was also in Boy Scouts, so we're always doing outdoor stuff, and that lended a lot to what I do now. But my mom was really into golf, so I tried out when I got into high school for the golf and the soccer team, and I got cut from both of those teams. So I still wanted to play a high school sport, and I always like participating in stuff. So track, they don't cut people. Like everyone can join, even if you're really slow, you can still be on the team and like run, and maybe you're not varsity, but you're still out there and you're still allowed to compete. So I just joined the track team because I wanted to do a sport, and found out that, like, I don't know, I enjoyed it, but also hated it. Like the racing part was really hard, and I would throw up after every 800-meter race I would do, but I ended up liking it. And I wasn't like instantly great at it, but like I found some success at it, and I just found that I liked it. So I did that all through that. Pretty much I became a runner after that point.
Where were you living at that point?
Glendale, Arizona. I'm born and raised in Phoenix. So
Okay.
yeah, it's where I still live. So yeah, I just did cross country team in the fall and track all the way through all 4 years, while still, you know, doing all the hiking trips and things I did with scouting. And so like once I got into college, I didn't go onto the college team, but I still liked running. I took kind of a year off from anything, and then I found out about trail running and then ultra running, and it was like, oh, holy cow, like I've been backpacking these routes which take 2 to 3 days. I can just run that in a day, and I carry all this stuff. And so it just kind of made sense. And I kind of gotten more and more competitive with my hiking. Like I would run with my backpack sometimes, like with a full pack on, and and like we would compete. I'd compete with like my brothers and like my friends, and it just kind of evolved into ultra running. Just made sense. And I'm like, once I found it, I was like, I knew this was my thing.
Well, that's cool because it kind of, it sounds like it combined like your Boy Scout, like your experience, like growing up as a kid, growing up in Arizona and Phoenix, like it's not a lot of nature, but I guess you would get out. And then ultra running is like combining those two loves into one thing.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So how did that passion from when you were a kid to like being your job and your life, how did that transition go?
My dad and my uncles, they always worked for themselves. My dad graduated college and opened a grocery store. So I have this kind of entrepreneurial blood in me, and I always knew I wanted to, you know, own a business or start a business or something, do something creative in that capacity. And I just didn't know what I wanted to do until out of college, and I had my first job working in an accounting firm, and I was able to take over a race that I had been volunteering at, the Javelin 100. And all of a sudden this like light bulb went off, and this opportunity presented itself, and it just came together. I was like, oh, like this could be a thing. Like I could put on running events. There wasn't a lot going on in Arizona at the time, and it just kind of like everything came together, and just went for it. That's all I can, that's basically how I'm doing.
So that's how you started your first, was that like the first thing, your first company, or?
Well, I mean, it was not even that official at the time. I took my first job out of college, like I said, and I actually kind of quit to hike the Arizona Trail. And at the same time, I had agreed to take over the race. So I was like 22 years old or something. And I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And so when I ended my hike, I just didn't go back to my job. And instead I just focused on this race, and like, I wanted to put this race on the best I could. So kind of like learned everything I could about the race, tried to like ask people like, well, what do you do? And just observe and just put a lot of work and love and time into it. And I didn't pay myself a cent that year. I just did it because I wanted to learn. It's kind of like, I say it's like kind of like grad school for me. Like instead of going to like an institution, I just like got my hands dirty and did it. And kind of when I was running out of my savings the next summer, I was like, well, that was really fun. It was really hard. Like, it was the hardest thing I had ever done. But, you know, maybe I could create a few races and actually like try and make a business out of it. And that's when I formed Aravaipa Running.
Oh, cool.
So.
Wow. And then when did like when did YouTube come into it? And then Run Steep Get High, like that evolution?
I'd always liked making videos of my adventures. Like, even a decade ago with my friends, we hiked to Havasupai Canyon, and I was like filming us cliff jumping and doing fun stuff. And I'd make little video edits with all the technology at the time. But I wasn't really, I don't know, wasn't really pushed in that direction, like this creative outlet. It was more like, I think I was pushed more towards like the accounting and math and things like that, just maybe by my parents, and which was really good. But there's this other side to me that I didn't know that was like really, I had a lot of passion for until later. But over the years, like we've always kind of filmed our own races. And that's the thing with being a race director, is like, you have to wear all these different hats and you have to do things you never thought you would do, like public speaking in front of groups and taking photographs and editing photographs and building websites and, you know, all these shopping stuff. You do a lot of different things. And one of those was like the video aspect, and I really seemed to enjoy it. And I think it was 3 years ago, I bought a GoPro for the first time, and I was up here in Colorado, and I just like went out on a couple training runs and brought it along, and I was filming my experience, and it was like really fun to be running with the camera and filming other people and sharing the experience of what I saw. And then like, it was kind of contagious getting the feedback, like people like, wow, it's really cool. I've never seen that part of the course before. Like, or like I was updating people on the current conditions, and that was kind of neat. And then I remember doing one run with Dom and Katie Grossman and my friend Justin, and we were like skiing down this big mountain with like Island Lake below us right off the Hardrock course. And I remember like Dom and he was running really fast, and I was like running to the side of him filming, and like we both fell and like cut up our hands. But I love the challenge of trying to film him while I was running over really technical terrain. It was just really engaging for my brain and really fun. And it gives me a rush, like filming stuff. So that was a big part of it right there. It's like, it was just really, really fun.
Wow. That's cool.
And how fast did, you know, like, did you get like followers and everything? Like, you know, how?
I definitely got quite a few views in the first couple of videos because I would share it with the Hardrock group. I think on Google, like there's like a Google groups for Hardrock, and they were kind of sharing it a little bit. But then I filmed that year's Hardrock race. I would, you know, just kind of as we went around crewing, I would just get clips of people. And then I ended up pacing Timothy Olson that year. And he had, if you remember, know, or read about it, he had a really tough race. It was his first Hardrock. He got really sick, and I went through the whole night with him all the way through the next day. I paced him for almost 50 miles, and
wow.
I got like his really tough Hardrock experience, and then him finishing like on film. And that was one of the big stories of the year, because, you know, 2-time Western States winner. He was like at the peak of his popularity. And then he like has this really disastrous race, but he sticks it out and finishes. So like a bunch of the articles were being written about it. And my video, because I literally stayed up and edited it like right away and got it out there. Like they all like put the video with all these stories, and that one really went kind of crazy and got like, you know, tens of thousands of views like right away. And I think it's still like my second most viewed video of all.
Wow.
You know, I made like hundreds of videos now, and it's kind of funny how that works. But I just kind of got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time, and yeah. Yeah,
it's cool. And I mean, I think it's fun. Like, it's fun watching them because they are fun to watch, right? And you get to experience a lot of new stuff and just bringing people along for the ride. So we definitely appreciate that. We try to do that with our videos too.
Absolutely.
So do we want to ask about like nutrition, or like when did you?
Yeah, I think we should talk about nutrition, and you know, you have a specific diet, and you know how, because I remember reading that you had like maybe a pretty crappy diet before. So when did that change, and how did that change?
I guess I just had kind of a normal diet for a while. I've never like put on weight or anything really, but I started eating like a vegetarian diet maybe 8 years ago. I kind of lost track. I don't even know when it was, but I just kind of made this decision because I felt like there was a big disconnect between people eating meat, because it doesn't seem like it was an animal when you just go buy like a double bacon cheeseburger or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, I was just like, I want to be involved in that process of like killing the animal if that's how that food gets to my plate. And so I said one day, I was just like, the next time I'm going to eat meat, I'm going to kill the animal and like know that process, like know that the animal had to die, and like this is how it got to me. I just still haven't killed an animal like 8 years later.
Yeah.
So that's just where I'm at currently. Maybe that'll change someday. I don't know. I know, you know, some people have oscillated and they vegan for a long time, and because of like maybe some health issues, they start eating it again, and that's fine. Or people that do hunt for their own meat, like I respect that. But for me, it just was the right decision. And then, you know, shortly thereafter, I just kind of gave up dairy and the other stuff too, because it's all related, and that's just kind of what made sense to me. So,
yeah.
And like, I'm at a place now where I don't really have to think about it that much. And most people around me know I eat this way, and it's not a stress on my life. There were periods of time where it was more stressful. I have to like, you know, defend myself in front of like my extended family, or, you know, people razz you and give you a hard time. But I don't know, it seems like it's pretty normal for me now. And I don't seem to be suffering from any health effects currently, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, it's definitely become more normal. Like we know what you mean totally on all aspects of that. And especially like when you first transition to being, you know, vegan or plant-based, like there's that learning curve, and it's kind of like stressful. Shit, what do I eat? And then like after a few years, your friends and family, they know what you're doing.
I mean, I think it's also a big part of it is like your attitude. Like, you know, like you seem to be like, you know, that's what I do, and, you know, I respect what others do. And I think that's very important if you want others to also, you know, respect you. And I think when you know, if you get trouble with other people, that maybe, you know, your attitude, if, you know, sometime at the beginning when you switch to vegan, like you tend to be maybe a bit like judgmental towards other people. And so of course that comes back to you. But as soon as you start to be like, yeah, you know, like that's what I do, and I do it because I want to do it, and other people do whatever they want, I think then like it gets easier with like socially easier.
Yeah. Well, like both my brothers, most of my whole family, like at one point was kind of vegan, but I have a brother now who's eating like more ketogenic and is eating like all that kind of stuff. And I actually have another friend who had some major health issues the last couple of years. He was vegan for a long time, and now he's eating like ketogenic as well. And that's improved his life like massively. So I don't want to judge people for what they do.
Yeah.
I don't want to be judged really. But I also don't care what people think what I do as well.
Yeah. And I think that was like, I mean, that's kind of one of the aims of us doing this YouTube channel and our nonprofit that we're starting, like Plant Positive. You know, like we want to talk to people who are positive and whatever. Like when you bring that positivity into everything you do, which you do, and it's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing, and yeah, it's cool. Like you're not worried about it. You're not pissed at people for not doing what you do. So yeah, I really like that. I respect it a lot. And what about like, oh, is it? I hope it's not freezing. But did you see any like changes in your running? And like, is your recovery time faster, do you think? Because that's one of the things that a lot of plant-based athletes like definitely notice.
I mean, it's been so long, I don't know that I really remember a difference. And I was pretty young, so I was probably recovering fine then. I know that like in the last couple of years, I've hit some stages where I haven't been eating as well. I still eat, you know, plant-based, but just like eating more fast food and not as many home cooked meals. And I've been doing that a lot more lately, and I do feel better and more energy, and yeah, just healthier in general. It feels really good to just get a bunch of vegetables and cook them up and eat them, and yeah.
Yeah, real food.
Yeah, what's your favorite resource to get inspired, to eat healthier, or to find recipes?
Oh man, I don't know if I have anything right now. I'm kind of like, I feel like I draw my inspirations in other avenues right now, like because I'm not struggling with diet or anything right now. I just kind of, I mean, a lot of it is just friends around that like to cook, and I've been cooking with a friend up here a lot, and we just made this Indian dish that was really good. Yeah, I don't know if I have any resources right now.
Yeah, that's cool though. I think it's important, it's really helpful when you have people in your life and friends who are like, yeah, let's do this. Let's cook up some
I have a friend, Kim Bessler, who I met, and when I had this terrible rash on my feet earlier this year, she was like pumping up these green smoothies. She's like, you got to do this. Like, it's going to help. And like, I was putting turmeric, like full turmeric roots in the smoothie with kale and all these different types of greens and coconut water. And it was awesome. Like, I was doing them every day. I've kind of like not been doing them lately. But maybe when I get back to Arizona and back in the groove of things and shopping, right, it's a little bit harder up here to do all that, but I'm probably going to start doing it again. It was really awesome.
So do you think that helped the rash? Because we saw that. That looked insane.
I don't know. Like it didn't have any immediate help. It definitely, I think, improved my health overall. But that, I don't know, that thing got pretty nasty, and I think it just had to kind of run its course. It kind of got all over the place, and yeah.
Wow.
Not fun.
No, that did not look fun. That was so sad to watch, like so intense. Cool.
All right, we have a question on your thought about UTMB. Some people are asking, are you going to be at UTMB? And other people are also asking just like, what your thought on this year's UTMB?
Yeah, I will be there. I am personally running TDS, which is the 120 or 125 kilometer version that runs from Courmayeur, kind of reverse back to Chamonix. And that's earlier in the week, but I'm planning to be spectating and taking in the whole vibe and experience of UTMB this year. It sounds like it's going to be an awesome race. There's so many amazing athletes running it, like Americans included. So, and I just love that. I love the town. I love the area. I went there 2 years ago to run it myself, to run UTMB, and I ran CCC last year, and I'm just blown away by just the landscape and the people, and the vibe of the whole race is amazing. The race organization is unbelievable as well, top notch. I was able to get some behind the scenes look last year. It'll be the same this year, and it's really unbelievable what they do at that event. It's like no other race that I've ever been to.
So are you going to be making a movie video about UTMB?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing maybe something similar, about like carrying a GoPro with me while I do my race. I still want to do well. Like, I don't know that I have a goal, or I don't know what kind of training I'll be able to get in between now and then. But and then I do plan to film at UTMB. I don't have a focus, so I might follow some of the Americans around and see how they do, and just try and, yeah, it'd be cool to have some footage if like one of the American males wins the race, which is like a historic thing. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, what is the best way for people like here in the States, like us and people who are listening, to like follow UTMB, like get race updates? Because with Hardrock, it's very apparent. But do you know, like, is there going to be? I mean, I Run Far will probably be
are you going to be making stories?
Yeah, should we be following you?
I need to get my phone fixed so I can do more Instagram stories. One of my cameras is broken, so I've been kind of failing on that. But I mean, number one, the race organization themselves, they have some unbelievable stuff. I mean, they have tracking all over that course, like little checkpoints everywhere. And they also have live broadcast for and some insane amount of hours with commentators, and I know I Run Far is going to be out there as well. They're always a great one to follow. I wouldn't say follow me specifically for race updates because I'm going to be focused on capturing footage if I can be out there. Yeah, follow the race stuff because it's really cool what they're doing with their live. They're doing like live broadcasting from drones, from people running on course with stabilized cameras, all live streamed, all plugged into the whole system. They have like a whole broadcast studio that they set up in the lobby of the hotel. It's really unbelievable stuff.
Wow. That seems massive. Yeah, the French, like...
I'm like really selling the race right now, but it's really crazy what they do.
No, it really is.
I mean, that's definitely a race that we want to do this year. We are trying to get the points.
It's probably a little early for me to do it.
Especially for me, like in France, like that's, you know, like that's where I'm from. So I definitely want to do that race so bad.
One day. And yeah, they definitely have, it's like legit. There's so many runners, like you said, like it's so well organized. It's just a whole different thing. The race that Gwen ran, like there was like 900 people running the 100. And it was like checkpoints and the organization that they put into it is like insane. And it was a race.
It's funny because like a race with 900 over there probably seems smaller, but that's way larger than any 100-miler in the U.S. You know, just for perspective, it's kind of crazy the two different worlds that are out there.
Yeah, and then the vibes are a little bit different too. But you know,
they're both like, good. I love both. I love everything from Barkley to UTMB, which they're total opposite spectrums.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is my next question? I guess like if you were to compare the course of UTMB to the course of Hardrock, like how would you compare them?
I mean, they both. I think UTMB might have slightly less climbing, but more miles. And it's just lower in elevation. So that's the major differences. UTMB might be slightly more runnable, but I also found it to be quite challenging, especially the last few climbs. They're very much kind of like Hardrock climbs. Hardrock's definitely got a little bit more of the cross country in it, like just going over terrain with no trail. But they're both really difficult races.
Wow.
Yeah. People are wondering in the chat room, what's your race schedule this year?
Oh no. Yeah, so what's your race schedule this year?
I'm signed up for TDS is next, and that's all I have on the calendar right now. After that, I'm just focused on Barkley. That's all that matters. I'm already focused on it now, actually. Like Hardrock was like a training. I treated it as like a training run, so that's kind of why I also say I ran it pretty easy. And I honestly feel pretty good right now. So I'm kind of giving myself a week right now to run when I feel like it. And then honestly, I have huge goals, and I'm going to announce some stuff on my channel very soon about like next big project I'm working on with that. All has to do with training for Barkley. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool. That's a really cool thing to follow. Like this last year watching you guys training for Barkley and then doing it, that was so inspiring and so cool to watch. So what if you do, how is it like getting into Barkley? Do you know that you're going to be doing it for sure already, or?
I don't know for sure. I know I have a better than average chance because I've shown that I have a 5-loop potential because I've done a 5 run, I've done 4 loops unofficially. This year I didn't do as well, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll just have to see. I'm trained like I'm in, and that's it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, what a crazy race. So insane.
Yeah.
So crazy.
So, yeah, where can people follow you if people are new in the chat room? Tell us all about all your social media.
Yeah, I have like kind of too much going on, so it's a little confusing. But like Jamil Coury on Twitter and Instagram, Run Steep Get High on YouTube is my main channel where I post a lot of my, somewhat couple times a week videos of my training and my life and things that go on. That's probably the best way to follow me and keep in touch and reach out to me. But yeah, we also have like several other YouTube channels and other things as well. But yeah.
And I saw that on your your website, do you post, like, it seemed to have some recent content. Have you been posting blogs?
My personal website, yeah, jamilcoury.com. I was doing a little more writing. I'd like to be more consistent with that. So yeah, look for some of my writing on there and articles. Hopefully I'll be posting like a video update from Hardrock, but hopefully I'll get inspired and sit down and actually write out a race report while, you know, stuff is still fresh in my head.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that was crazy that you got that video out so quick too. So like, how much editing did that take?
Well, I have a video editor that was in town with me, so okay. he edited together like 90% of it, and he had to head out back to Phoenix, but I was able to finish it off and get it out pretty quick, which was awesome.
Cool. Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, I'm sure like so many people appreciate that. Yeah, so I guess, I mean, I don't really know what else. I mean, it was really amazing to have you on and just get to chat to you in person and learn a little bit more about your story and your, you know, how you came into this amazing sport. So congratulations again at that finish. That's, I don't know, that's unreal. That's one day we can finish like Jamil and be as happy as you are at the race.
Yeah. All right, so thanks everyone for tuning in on our show. We will see you all next week. And in the meantime, if you haven't seen Jamil's video, go watch it right now. It's up on YouTube. So we will see everyone next week. Yeah, hopefully Gwen will see you guys next week. He's a volunteer firefighter, and he might get a call to go to like California or something for a forest fire. So I might be alone. We'll see. Okay, guys, that's it. We will see you next time. All right. Bye. Bye.